All right, happy Monday, everybody.
Happy
Sad
Monday.
Monday.
It is. One people are going to be talking about all day when they get to work. It's just one that Sunday you'll remember. Where were you? What were you doing when you found out Kobe Bryant died in the helicopter crash?
I was watching a movie, and my wife, who works at CNN, texted me. She said, "Did you hear about Kobe?" And this was literally within probably the first 30 seconds to a minute of TMZ breaking the news that he was in the helicopter. And I know Karen and we got on a text chain pretty quickly, and I posted it out. I know Rodney, you were in disbelief. I was in disbelief. I'm gutted by this news. I'm heartbroken.
Yeah, and what you just said, I actually found out through Adam. I was at home and I was just scrolling through Facebook, like I'm sure many of you on Facebook were, and I saw Adam had you referenced TMZ, and I told Adam this earlier. Even when watching the coverage throughout the day, it was almost still like in disbelief.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're watching it and you're like, is this really happening?
Yeah, we were raised on the river celebrating my husband's birthday. And this is one of those things where somebody mentions it in a restaurant and you're thinking, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm the news person, I know. Man, picked up my phone, which is something that I never do when we're eating in a restaurant, and could not believe it. Never seen a restaurant, a time when everybody, to the waiters, staff, had their phone, and that's all people talked about.
It still doesn't seem real this morning, does it? I mean, I think it's because we've got all the video of him, we've got pictures of him with his daughter, and you look at that and you go, really?
41.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, just a tragedy.
I actually heard about it from one of my sons texted and said, did you hear about it? And that was right around the time that probably, because the first thing I did was I got on Twitter, because it seems to be the place to go for that kind of breaking news, and I saw that you had retweeted within seconds what TMZ had put up there. But, it's just such a huge tragedy. We want to know, first of all, what you think, and this is what we'll be talking about, what you think Kobe Bryant's legacy is, both on and off the court, because I think that's a big part of it with Kobe, is that he just transcended. He was so much more than a basketball player. He made such a seamless transition from being a Hall of Fame basketball player to the second part of his life that involved, at least in my opinion, two things: getting into the creative industry, winning the Oscar, but then also just settling into the dad role so much.
And he was so good at it too. I mean, everyone kept, when I was watching the coverage yesterday, they kept referring to him as a soccer mom in this
He was.
and that was so true, because I'm putting together the investigative and the obit piece this morning for our 5 and 6 o'clock newscast, and we found this soundbite from just a few months ago where he said, I don't miss playing, and he played for 20 years, and I don't miss playing. For me, the real joy now is getting to watch the game that I love through my daughter.
Yes.
Right.
And they were going to a youth travel basketball game with his daughter, and
It was amazing, an amazing
a
player
young
herself.
athlete, up and coming herself. And so, I think Fred, is right in that. The second chapter is defined, yes, by the Oscar. This second chapter, post-retirement, is defined by his Oscar, which he won based on the short film, based on his life.
He said he wanted to be remembered as a storyteller, which I read, which I thought was,
And he was a great storyteller.
And he was a great story. And I have to admit, okay, so I am not an NBA fan. I don't watch NBA basketball. Clearly, I know the impact Kobe Bryant had on the game. I mean, that's just a given. For me, I just think of him as a dad and those things that he did with his family, married to the same woman for all these years, staying with the same team for all these years. So to me, that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I think of Kobe Bryant. Not so much the basketball part. Clear, you can't take away the legend that he was in basketball. But
Fred and I are from Boston, or New England, and so Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers, there's an intense rivalry there. And I was telling Fred this morning, I went to the 2010 NBA Finals when the Celtics lost to the Lakers. I was in LA.
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers. Who's now in LA with the Clippers. He's the kind of athlete that, even though he's on the opposite team from you, right? Lakers, Celtics.
You gotta love him.
You can't get mad, when Kobe Bryant beats your team.
Yes.
Because he was one of, I think if there's a Mount Rushmore of basketball, I would put Kobe Bryant in the Mount Rushmore. I would put him LeBron, Michael Jordan, and then, we can.
I grew up Michael Jordan,
figure out.
Chicago,
Right,
and
yeah.
I love to see, they say he compared himself to
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah.
He wanted to make Michael proud. A lot of the things he did, he patterned after Michael Jordan. So this was a tough time for Michael as well. And I didn't realize, just in researching on Kobe, he really grew up in Italy. Spent a lot of time
Yep.
there because his
Yeah,
dad
his dad was
was a
playing there.
professional
Yeah.
player, and then he started playing there.
Yeah.
Right.
So yesterday I reached out to Dikembe Mutombo, who lives here in town, played for our Hawks, and he said, I'm here where Kobe's career really, where his life started with basketball. And
Wow.
he said, I still didn't want to believe it. People were telling me, people were calling me, and I just didn't want to believe it was true. I think nobody, when they saw that first report, nobody felt this was
No.
this was real.
So, Adam mentioning that we're both Boston Celtics fans. Rodney, of course, late last week, we were having a conversation about your love of the Lakers, and you
Right.
said right off the bat, I'm a Kobe Bryant guy. This
Easily
was
Kobe.
last
Did.
week.
And
In tribute.
to your first of all, for what you were talking about you guys being from the Boston area, what I thought was really cool was Mark Cuban of the Dallas Mavericks
Yes.
retiring his jersey. Now,
Yes.
Kobe obviously never played for Dallas, and I'm not even sure if that's been done before, where a player's jersey has
Jackie
been
Robinson
retired.
but
From somewhere
like
else.
42 in all of baseball.
Right.
But
So to that point, that it's like such that
Great.
that I thought was amazing for Cuban to retire his jersey with the Mavericks, and then what you were saying before about his legacy. So everybody remembers, Kobe winning championships and MVP awards, but like you said, what I thought was super cool was you get this amazing basketball player. And over the past few years, every time you see him at a game, who's next to him? His daughter.
His daughter.
Who
Every game.
shared that passion for basketball, and to see one of the greatest of all time have that type of relationship with his daughter. She's at the games. That is it's really tragic, obviously, but that was what to me his legacy was. It's like, forget about all these accolades.
Right.
At the end of the day,
Family.
he was able to push that onto his daughter.
Well, and the thing is, it just was the way that his daughter was, that particular daughter, Gianna, because his oldest daughter, not as into sports as Gianna was, and so it wasn't like he was really pushing her into it. She had it in her, the same, the Mamba mentality they call it, and for me, when I first found out about it. It was like, oh, this is tragic. It's so sad for his family. So sad that we won't see this second chapter of his life play out because he had so much potential. But then to hear about the fact that his daughter was killed in the crash as well, and that there were other families on board, I think that's really where it started to get to me. Because you just hate to see any family broken up like that.
yeah.
And to know that the younger girls, these younger daughters that are just 3 and less than a year old, will have little, if any, memory of their father and their older sister. And that now his wife has to go on for the rest of her life, losing her husband.
And you brought it up, that other family, a father and his daughter, who was also on that travel
And his
team.
wife.
And the wife.
And the
And his
wife.
wife.
It was a
And I think
baseball
there was
scout.
another child on there as well.
So it was a baseball scout, his family, 2 pilots, from my understanding, and then
Wow.
they have not identified the other, presumably others involved. So
Let's get some of these comments
Yeah.
out. Jennifer Hester is a great person. Of course, he made mistakes, but will do that. That's what makes us human.
Yep.
He really was an icon. Need to be in Hall of Fame and have his own statue. He deserves it. He earned that.
He was scheduled to go into
This
the Hall
year.
of Fame
Yeah.
this year.
and what the night before, LeBron James had passed him
Yes.
for the 3rd
That's
all-time
right.
leading scorer
Yeah.
in NBA history.
Yeah.
And he had just tweeted out or put it on Instagram how proud he was of LeBron, and that accomplishment, which I think speaks to his sportsmanship as an
Yes.
athlete and how he was such an ambassador for the game that he, even though had stepped away from the game, he was teaching the next generation and his daughter, and he was admiring the current generation and LeBron James, who, is just passed him, in this
Yes.
incredible career milestone. Kobe wasn't, even though on the court, I'm sure everyone would tell you he was kind of he wanted the ball all the time. He was a very, that's the kind of player he was. But when he stepped away from the game, he was able to say, no, kudos to you. That's an
Right.
amazing
Yes.
accomplishment.
Right.
And I think for me, that was like, the night before, he was in attendance to watch LeBron James pass his record. I just can't.
He came into the league with this kind of brash mentality right off the bat. It almost
He
says
was
just
young.
out of
He was
high
good.
school,
He was good.
Yeah, right.
high
Yeah.
school, saying that he was, going to be hoped to be better than Michael Jordan.
Right.
And at the time, that was borderline blasphemy.
Right.
And I think that he took his mentality matured over time, and by the time that he retired from the NBA, he realized that he could take his outlook on life,
Right.
and that it meant so much to the younger generation of not just basketball players, but then he saw it in his daughters, and he was in the process of, helping people achieve their goals. I think was what he was all about. Like, if you
Right.
show dedication, if you show commitment, then anything's possible.
And it's almost sad that we are talking so much about Kobe, but I think people need to know that's who we know that
Right.
was on this helicopter.
Right.
We don't know a lot about the Altobelli family.
Right.
Someone
Other than
sent us a message.
we
that,
do know that he was a very well known in New England for the Cape Cod Baseball League and part of a
His
scouting
son,
family. Part of
his
the Red
son,
Sox.
his son is a scout for the Red Sox.
Scout for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And they're saying that
and he was,
here's those kids. His
so-
kids are going to be left without parents.
Right.
Yes.
So
And I heard him described as the Kobe Bryant of junior college baseball coaches.
Wow.
That he had won hundreds and hundreds of games. He was a legend in junior college baseball in Southern California.
And to your point, just not knowing too much about
Right.
everybody who was on
Right.
board, the names, they have not all been confirmed yet
Right.
through the authorities and the investigation. The team from the federal team is out there today.
Right.
It's a tough terrain to get to. It slowed things down a little bit, and,
and
there's
it's
obviously
spread over a field.
and there was a lot
football
of fans
field.
who showed
Right.
up, a lot of media who showed up. So the investigation will continue today. I will say, just on the investigative side, they are looking at the foggy conditions
Yeah.
in Calabasas, California, yesterday, in the steep terrain.
Because police helicopters, they grounded their helicopters because
Yeah.
it was so foggy.
Yeah.
Would not let them take off.
Don't want to speculate too much about that, but I have read that that type of a helicopter, some type of a catastrophic mechanical failure is extremely, extremely unlikely because it is a twin-engine helicopter, so that it would highly
Back it
unlikely.
up.
And remember, Kobe, had that helicopter for many years.
Yeah.
He used to
Right.
take it to the games because traffic in LA was
Right.
always so bad that he would just fly the helicopter to the games and
Be
live.
on time.
Yeah.
And to piggyback off of something that you said earlier, because this was something else that I found surreal, the whole LeBron thing, as you mentioned, the night before.
Yeah.
Right.
He's tweeting about LeBron, and then a lot of people wake up, and it's like, that's it. So even on Facebook yesterday, it's just like, embrace every moment,
Yes.
because you never know.
You're never,
Hug
tomorrow's
your
not
loved
promised.
ones.
Right,
Hug
when
your
it's,
loved ones.
The
when it's up.
Lakers were on their cross-country flight back from Philadelphia when they found out.
And he's from Philadelphia. So,
Yes,
again,
that's home.
the night before LeBron passes his record, the team that he played for flying back from his hometown.
so surreal.
It just
It is,
doesn't
isn't it?
feel real. And unfortunately it is. And to Rodney's point earlier with Mark Cuban, I would not be surprised if moving forward, players
More
do not
teams.
wear 24 or 8 because of Kobe Bryant.
And
He
mentioned
is
last
that
night,
kind of player.
Trey Young, 45
Yeah.
points.
And he started the game wearing number 8.
And you said
Wasn't
he
that
was
his
a mentor
daughter's,
of his.
one of his daughter's favorite, one of
Yes.
her favorite
Yeah.
players?
Favorite
was,
I
player.
had
you know,
read. I had read that of the 3 games that they had gone to, his daughter had gone to this year. 2 of them were with Trey Young,
Yeah.
Wow.
because she was such a fan of his,
Right.
and he's only been in the league for a year.
Oh, he
and
was
a
choked
change.
up.
One of
Choked
the
up.
other interesting things about Kobe, people talk about Kobe and Michael Jordan, is that Michael Jordan never really went out of his way to embrace younger players and the younger generation. Now, Kobe, as he got older, I think he realized the value in that. And you just look at LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and
Right.
Michael Jordan. From what I understand, there's not much of a relationship between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, yet there was one between LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. And this younger generation of players, the current generation
Right.
of basketball players, any that are in their 20s,
Right.
Kobe Bryant is their Michael Jordan.
But I think Kobe, all of that goes to his character.
You're right.
Is
Well-
who he is, not just a basketball player, but Kobe Bryant said, okay, basketball is a big part of my life, but that's not who I am.
Remember this,
You
too.
know?
Remember this, and this is perfect for what both of you just said. When Kobe had really come into his own as a player in the early 2000s, and the Lakers had won back-to-back-to-back titles, there was another big player on the team, Shaquille
Shaquille.
O'Neal.
That's right.
And there was something of a somewhat fallout between the two, and then Kobe changed his mindset, and Kobe
Became
changed
best
his
buddies.
game, and now Shaq was the
Godfather.
godfather of
I've heard
Gigi.
you. That's right.
And I know Shaq from Atlanta, obviously, he's weighing in on this too.
We've
so.
got to wrap. So let's take
Whoop,
a group
whoop,
hug.
whoop.
Hug your loved ones.
Yes.
Make sure, hold them tight and let them know you love them, guys.
Don't make me cry.